It just don't get any better than this. All right. I just removed the tuner from this Hammarlund HQ-200. Look at all the corrosion down in there. I mean, this thing, it's all green. It's a mess. It's a terrible mess. The plates are bad. There's all kinds of crap, and something needs to be done. In order for me to clean up this chassis, you have to go back to the basics one more time. You got to start with each item here, and then I'll have to take this one out. And after this one's out, then I'm going to have to clean it all. And then there's you know, the transformer will have to be cleaned up and painted and look halfway decent. Going to be a lot of work. It's a lot of rust removal. Fortunately, it's just small spots instead of great big giant areas. So let's go ahead and put this in the ultrasonic cleaner. Let's give the old ultrasonic cleaner a good workout today. Alright, I've got it in there. The water's almost all the way to the top. Not quite, because I got to add a little bit of cleaner. I'm going to add Kaboom. Put a little bit of this Kaboom in there. See how, if it doesn't work, I'll just change it to like Pine Sol. I've used Pine Sol cleaner in here. They work great. So let's go ahead and plug it in, get her cranked up here. Let me see. I'm going to stick the cord in. And we're going to set up for, let me see, 480 I think is the max if I recall. Yep. Now we'll go ahead and hit on. And then we want temperature, which will light the red light right here. There we go. Now we just put the lid on and let her work. We'll probably, I bet it'll take 15-20 times to get that thing clean, if it cleans at all. Well, let's see how she's doing. I ran it through about 10 times. No, water's hot. Woo-hoo. Let me see, let's get it up here. That's hot. Let's get it up on the end here. I flipped it over once. Man alive, that stuff is hot, hot, hot. Yeah, she's looking pretty darn good. Looking a whole lot better than it did. Check that out. Let's see what it's looking like between the plates and everything. That's what I really want to. It's starting to steam up the camera. It's so hot. Let's get it close up here and see what we can find. Yeah, she's not looking too bad. The plates are looking good. My problem is I want to get between those plates, get a lot more of that corrosion off. It looks like it's got most of it off. I think we'll run it through about 8 or 10 more times and see if we can't get it. I may take a little brush and brush a little bit. We'll see what happens. Well, I changed the water and scrubbed it down with some, I took this small brush, went outside, took this small paint brush and went over it with lacquer thinner and cleaned out all the little cracks and crevices. It looked like it could use a little help. Alright, we're going to run it through about 6-7 more times, and the old Kaboom did a pretty good job. So let's go ahead and add a little more Kaboom to that. Let's add that in there. You know how it is with me, you know, we got to have a little bit of overkill in here somewhere. We just can't have an average video. Forget that. Here we go. Number 2. Let's put the heat on. Let me see. Let's go and put the heat on. Shoot her again. Well, the main tuner turned out so good, nice and clean. I'll tell you what, I decided to go ahead and remove the band spread tuner. So we're giving that a big run through. This is the first time it's been in. Already the water's turning really nasty. After you've you know, gone through the ultrasonic cleaner, I gave it a good spray down with the sink sprayer to get all the Kaboom soapy crap off of there. Now I'm going to give it a good air spray and blow out as much of the water as I can. If you just let it air dry overnight, you'll get up tomorrow and there'll be more rust on it. We got to get rid of that. Get rid of the water now. Got to blow it all clean. Make sure all the water is out of it as much as you can. Everything you miss, you'll see rust the next day. By the way, these dial scales and these Hammarlund HQ-200s, the printing is not water soluble. some of the old dial scales from years ago, back in the 30s in particular, the letters were put on with water-soluble ink. And some people, you know, they take a wet rag to clean them up. When they do, all their letters disappear. You don't want that to happen, okay? So what I did was a little test down in here with some, you know, a damp rag. I have a damp cloth right here. And I tested down on these letters to see if they would come off, and of course they did not. So you see, it's not water soluble. So I'm taking some Kaboom right now, putting it on a rag and cleaning up the edge here all the way around. As you can see, it's taken a lot of it off. I'll have to go around it a couple times, but we're going to clean these babies up too, so the light shines through them a lot better. I'll just take a damp cloth or maybe a paper towel with a little bit of Kaboom on it to clean the surface, or the front surface area where the letters are. These two tuners are fairly large, and I blew them out with air, but just to make sure they're totally dry, I put them in the oven on 170 degrees. I'll leave them in there. You know, it's just basically fairly warm oven. I'll leave them in there for about 30 minutes, then I'll take them out. Now that the two tuners have been cleaned up, we'll just set them to the side. And the next job is to take the old navel jelly. I got me a big old brand new bottle right here. Big giant sucker. And we're going to start working this baby over. I've already done a little bit in the corner here to see how it would react to the navel jelly. And you can see it's nice and shiny. Pretty good. I took away that surface rust pretty good. I'll have to go over it again, of course. But there's going to be a lot of work here. A lot of work. It'll take, you know, a couple days. Maybe 3. And then this thing right here, I'm going to take my motor tool. It's been soldered in on the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and try to melt it out. If not, I'll just take the motor tool and cut it loose and get rid of that. That was the mount, or the bottom of the original filter can that had the electrolytic capacitors in it. Anyway, we're just going to work on it best we can. This whole metal cabinet of this radio has got a lot of crazy looking rust spots on it, here, there, and everywhere. So it would be very, very difficult to, well, it wouldn't be difficult, but it would be very time consuming, because there's a lot of it on the inside as well, as you can see. All over the place. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this to work with me and ask our guys in the chroming department if they can't, stick it down in their sulfuric acid vat and have them eat this paint off and maybe the rest of this rust. Get it all off, maybe it'll all come clean. If it does, all I gotta do is spray paint it. I'll talk to them tomorrow, see what they say. I've got the plates on the two tuners taped off, and I'm getting ready to spray them with some. This time I'm going to use some Valspar interior, exterior. It's a satin clear paint. They call it a clear sealer, but it's just a paint. And I'm just going to shower down on it. I don't want to get any of the paint on the blades. I don't think, some people paint the blades and all. You'll never convince me that years from now that paint won't start flaking off, and between those blades it's going to look terrible. It may even affect performance of the tuner. I don't know, don't care. Best thing to do in my mind is to tape off the blades and then just go ahead and spray it. Don't spray the areas, the things you're going to be soldering on, like these little tabs. See those little tabs right there? 1, 2, 3. Don't be spraying anything you'll be soldering to. And I also don't like spraying on anything where I put a nut back on. This is the screw that goes down through the chassis, and I have to put a nut on it. Don't clog those threads up with paint. Tape those off also. Then just go ahead and give her a shot. Just give her a shot and get her nice and coated. The purpose of this is to make sure that it doesn't rust any more than it has to. It's going to rust. Nothing you can do about it. Over the next few years, it's going to rust. Well, we sprayed downward as best we could. Now we need to take it out and turn it around this way and spray in the other direction. Both of them. And that way they'll all be covered, all surfaces. Alright, we are all done. And now it'll keep it from rusting for many years to come, I hope. The only thing you can do about stuff like this is just do your best. Some people paint this silver and then go ahead and spray over it. I don't feel like doing that with tuners. I just like to kind of just put a clear coat on them and let them rip. It's the next day, and this is the results of the very first de-rusting effort. It'll probably take at least 2 more. I know it's going to take more than even that on this one side over here. This one side's got quite a bit of rust on it. But other than that, just a little small spots. We got it pretty well clean though, you know. We'll just go ahead and keep working at it. Keep working. This chassis will be painted. I'm going to paint it with the epoxy appliance paint silver. I really like that. Then we'll give it a nice coat of satin clear over the top of that. But we've got quite a ways to go before we get to that stage.
Did your airspray empty? No.
What is this?
I want to show you this. Wasabi peas.
Yeah, I like
this.
Yeah, no, it's Japanese.
I eat them all the time.
You take them to work with you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Nobody asked you for those. You bring anything else, they say, can I have some? You have these on your desk, they go, ooh.
I don't want those.
Yeah. Some of them that have tried go, oh my God.
My daughter's getting ready to go to work. You see, that's what she eats for lunch, so that's why she's so slim.
Wasabi peas.
Wasabi peas. All right, what am I doing here this morning? You know, since this is a kind of, I'm taking lacquer thinner. And I am giving this chassis for this HQ-200, I'm giving it a nice cleanup. I'm not quite done with taking all the rust off the chassis, but you know, every once in a while in the process, especially when you have a lot of nooks and crannies you can't really get to clean out the navel gel, you got to kind of hit it with lacquer thinner. So today, now this is being pretty stubborn over here, this rust, but we're going to whip it. We're going to whip it. We're going to get it nice and clean, and then I'm going to go ahead and lay the first coat of primer on it. So we are making some progress. You can see I took the entire front panel off. Yeah, a bit at a time. Work, you know. It's fun. It's fun. This is my little side project to everything else I'm doing. I get a little bored with something, I'll go back to this. Lots of fun. You know, this old lacquer thinner really is the restorer's friend for cleaning things, but you got to be careful, guys. Don't breathe this stuff in. Work with it outside. This stuff will make you pass out. It's got a really strong odor to it, and you know, it is caustic. You don't want to get it on your hands. If you have to touch it at all, I'm using a long handled brush, so I'm not having any problems. But you know, stand back when you do it. You don't need any you don't need the brush to be flicking any of this stuff in your eyes. And it's always good to wear a pair of sunglasses or a pair of glasses or a pair of safety glasses, anything like that, while you're doing this cleaning stuff with lacquer thinner. Lacquer thinner is nothing to play with, okay? Well, as hoped, the supervisor of the chrome vat where I work ran this metal cabinet through their acid vat, and it's interesting. Look down here underneath all the paint. All the paint is off. There's a couple of rust spots that I need to work on a little bit with navel jelly right there, and a couple down here. But that's small potatoes compared to what we had. You see all that brown stuff in there? You know what that is? Those are fingerprints. Those are somebody's fingerprints from years ago. That was, you know, they placed their hands on there and then they sprayed it with paint. And the fingerprints were covered up. And there they are from probably whenever this thing was made. Isn't that interesting? You can tell where the cabinet was handled. Everywhere it was touched. Somebody touched it with their fingers. Isn't that cool? I got a little rust right here to remove too. But other than that, it's all gone. Maybe a little spot here. I'm just going to go over it with this little light sandpaper. I'm going to leave those fingerprints there. Just paint right over them. I wonder whose prints they are. That is, you can see where he grabbed it. See, this was his finger. Right there. Nifty, I think. The old cabinet is getting its first coat of light gray primer. And that's exactly what's going to happen to the outside as well. And then when I get done, we're just going to put a clear coat over the top. And that's all we need. A couple of coats of that clear coat enamel. It'll be satin. It'll be really nice. That thing is really cleaned up well. I'm real happy with it. Look at that. Boy, that looks really good inside. A little bit more and she'll be fine. Then I can work on the outside. The rust has been removed from the chassis. Over here where it was really heavy, I think this was the side. Oh boy, I'll tell you what a job it was. You know, it didn't look like much at all. I guess this was the side where it was really heavy. It didn't look like much at all when I started. Just a bunch of blotchy little spots here, there, and everywhere. And of course, one side was heavily rusted, one of the sides of the chassis. But boy, I'll tell you what, that stuff did not want to come off. I've been at this now for 2 weeks. 2 weeks on this tiny little chassis. sanding and scraping and putting the navel jelly on, letting it soak for 8-10 hours at a time. It just did not want to come off. Anyway, it's finally done. Now the only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take some lacquer thinner and a little bit of sandpaper and try to smooth this up a little bit so when I put the black paint on it'll look real good. But boy, I'll tell you what, I don't want. I'm beginning to wonder. Does anybody know if salt? According to I'm a junk collector, this thing he bought on eBay out of if he remembered properly, he said he thinks he got it out of Puerto Rico on eBay. So Puerto Rico's an island. Lots of salt water everywhere. My question is, does anybody know if saltwater rust, not corrosion, but rust, is any different than freshwater rust? I just never have a trouble getting rust, unless they've changed the formula of navel jelly, which I don't think they have. Boy, I'll tell you what, I'm glad this is over. I don't want to work any more on it. I'm tired of it. We're going to go ahead and tape it all off and give it a good shot of primer. And then we'll get that silver paint on and get this thing back together. I'm anxious to hear it play again. I'm kind of missing it. At long last, it's finally time to put some primer on this chassis. Man alive, I'll tell you what, I didn't think I'd ever get to this stage. It took forever to get that rust off. I just worked and worked and worked. Right now I'm just going to put a very light coat. And we're even going to cover the power transformer. And this cord, I'm not certain what I'm going to do with that cord. I don't know if I'll leave it on there or put a different kind in. I'm not sure. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and spray this all down. It's looking a whole lot better. I am ready. Let's get some nice looking paint on here. I'm using the appliance epoxy paint. It's a silver, and it does a pretty good job, and I want to kind of empty the can. I've had it for a while, and we're going to go ahead and shoot the entire thing with it. I'm going to give it one coat. I hope I got enough left in the can to do it all. Well, that's it. I just finished putting a clear coat over the top. I had just enough silver paint to do it. Just enough. Man alive, that was a close call. Anyway, all I have to do now is, mask off after it dries. I'll give it a day or so to dry. And then I'll mask off the transformer, paint it black, and then we'll put it all back together. And the power transformer is getting sprayed finally. I'm spraying it with flat black since I got this great 99-cent can of paint here. What the heck? And then I'll go over it with the clear enamel. Should look pretty good. It won't be as shiny as, real shiny enamel, but it'll be satin look. It'll be alright. And here goes the clear. By the way, I covered this once before. This Valspar paint. I'll tell you what, I don't care what color you get. This is the clear. You can get black, green, blue, whatever. This is really good paint. It really is. I like it a lot. Go ahead and get this baby sprayed up here. Well, that's it. She's all painted, put back together. It looks very nice. I'm pretty happy with the results. I got a little bit more cleaning to do. I think I'll clean the tops of the IF cans and the inductor cans there, and maybe just kind of clean it up a little bit, make it look a little bit better. Some of the I took a few dabs of gray paint, just kind of dabbed it around here a little bit to cover up some of the metal. Anything would have been better. I'm still going to work on that a little bit more. I just don't want a whole bunch of shiny metal showing up. You can see where the difference in paint colors were. I think I can work that out a little bit over time. Just going to play with it, Well, after all that ripping and tearing and putting back together, it's still playing. I got lucky one more time. WSM out of Nashville. Just got home from work. Can't beat this. Now all I have to do is give it an alignment, put the case back on it, and it'll be done. This little radio is a nice little radio. Not bad for radio. It hasn't even been aligned. By the way, the shortwave bands even work.
VoiceOfOnline.com. Heard from the judge.
I just had to have a little bit more of that. I couldn't just stop right then. Anyway, that ends this series. I hope everybody doesn't have any more withdrawal pains, not for a while anyway. Until next time, thanks for being here. This is John.
Justin wrote this one. Be better to your baby. Leon?